What the fact that there really is no news today to go over. I figured that today would be as good a day as any to talk about WrestleMania and the card that I think will be shaping up to be one of the better WrestleMania cards. I mean, we say that every year, but, well, actually, this year will be no different. We know that the world champion Roman Reigns will defend his championship against Cody Rhodes. And also, we know both women's championships will be on the line, with Asuka going against Bianca Belair after winning the Elimination Chamber. And also, Rhea Ripley will get her chance at vengeance against Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. But the only question is, where does everybody else stand? Everybody else being Becky Lynch. Everybody else being Bayley, the SmackDown the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Damage Control, Ronda Rousey, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on. I, for one, think that it would not be the end of the world if we did not see a WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey. It is not because I'm not a fan. It is because of the fact that WWE just never understood how to book her to where she is not just this dominant force, and people don't want to see Ronda Rousey dominate anymore. Yes, if Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler fought Damage Control for the tag team titles, then they would love to see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler elevate the tag team titles. But the fact of the matter is, they would not like to see, and I may be making an unfair generalization here, but they would not like to see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler dominate Dakota Kai and Io Sky and basically make it a one-sided match to where everybody expects Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey to win. Because that's not a WrestleMania match. And that also damages the credibility of Dakota Kai and Io Sky, having them lose in dominant fashion to Ronda and Shayna Baszler. It doesn't help Ronda and Shayna Baszler. It damages the former champions and it damages the division. Because even when the Road Warriors would win their matches and dominate, they would not dominate in title matches because it would damage the credibility of the champions. I, for one, will get it out of the way now that I think a battle royal for both women and men who are not featured on the card in a prominent fashion should take place on the pre-show because it would allow people that aren't featured on the main card to be featured at WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. I've always been an advocate of the Battle Royal and giving everyone that can get on WrestleMania the opportunity to get on WrestleMania. Because there are women who are not going to be fortunate enough to be in a title match, and you just don't want to see them not be featured on WrestleMania. You don't want to just not see them featured on WrestleMania. You want to see them get an opportunity because it's some of the people that you would want to see featured on WrestleMania. But also, I'm torn with what I want to see with Damage Control because I like the idea of Becky Lynch and the Legends teaming up in a 6-person tag team match. Because then, if you don't do that match, well, where do you land with Bayley and Becky? Because Lita and Trish don't need to be featured at WrestleMania. But where do you lean with Becky and Bayley? I do agree with the idea that maybe Damage Control should defend the titles. I do agree with that idea. But the fact of the matter is, I kind of like the other idea too. So it's a little like, a catch-22, I suppose. But also, another top thing that we've been hearing is Kevin and Sami versus the Usos for the tag belts. And that Kevin and Sami would be the team to finally dethrone the Usos. Right now, it doesn't seem like that's the direction they're going, and honestly, I don't think that needs to be the direction that they go. It just seems the more likely direction to go. as realistically, they could break up the Usos through the draft and not have them, not have them stay in the tag team division. But more likely, if any team is going to break up through the draft, it's going to be the Street Profits. More than likely, if any team's going to break up through the draft, it's going to be the Street Profits. I've been calling Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins since the Royal Rumble. Austin Theory versus John Cena and Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins are the two matches that have yet to be announced, but are pretty much academic, based on rumors and reports from from news outlets like PW Insider and Fightful Select, that basically they're leaning on the idea that those matches are going to happen. Which I would probably say, when Cena makes his return on March the 6th, that will likely be what we see, Cena having a confrontation with the United States Champion, Austin Theory. Which, in my opinion, this match will elevate not just Theory, but also the United States Championship, which is something WWE has needed to do for a very long time, and right the ship for the United States title. But again, Cena does not need to lose to Theory for the point to be made. Theory could lose and still get elevated up the card, because you could also do a rematch on Raw, you could do a rematch at a pay-per-view, you could do a rematch at SummerSlam, whenever Cena's able to come back. But also, Theory doesn't need to win. I'm not saying it would be a bad thing if he did, I'm just saying he doesn't need to win. Seth Rollins needs to win, but Theory doesn't. McIntyre has, in a recent interview, went on record to say he wants to fight Gunther at WrestleMania, which leans on the possibility of the rumored match from a couple months ago, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. And if Sheamus versus Gunther was a downright Donnybrook, I can imagine what it will do when the infusion of Drew McIntyre is felt in that match. Edge versus Finn Balor is the last match I have written down, as Edge and Finn Balor have been feuding for almost a year, and it's time for the feud to come to a close. It's time for the feud to come to a close at the Showcase of the Immortals. One match I totally forgot to write down is Rey Mysterio versus Dominic, as that is another feud that is looking at the possibility of needing to end sooner rather than later, because I know they moved Rey to SmackDown, but I think it was more timing to allow for a little breathing room between WrestleMania and when he moved. But the fact of the matter is, I think Rey versus Dominic and Edge versus Balor those rivalries will come to a head at the Showcase of the Immortals. One way or the other, Judgment Day will have new feuds after WrestleMania. With that being said, though, those have been my predictions for what I think will happen as far as the card of WrestleMania, and based on the rumors, I think the least likely matches for WrestleMania this year will be the Battle Royals that I mentioned, even though I think Battle Royals are very helpful, especially on a WrestleMania card. I don't think that WWE is at the point where they want to do Battle Royals anymore, because I could be wrong, but I don't think Battle Royals have played much of a part in WrestleMania since the pandemic. Not because of, things, but because of the fact that I just think that they want to go in a different direction with WrestleMania, because the pandemic WrestleMania was also the first WrestleMania to have 2 nights. So I think that they feel like they may not need the Battle Royal anymore, because they can split WrestleMania into 2. But that's just me. So what I would say is, I think it is more likely that Damage Control and Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler that match could also include Becky Lynch and Lita or Trish Stratus as a 3-way tag team title match. What happens with Bayley, I don't know. I would love to see her compete. I know she's hungry to compete, but the fact of the matter is, we're still a little bit of a ways out from WrestleMania, so we got a little bit more time before the full card is announced. But let me know down in the comment section below what you would like to see at WrestleMania, and I will keep you up to date on anything and everything that I find out about the upcoming Showcase of the Immortals. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.